Imagine trying to save $10,000 in just 90 days. Now think about doing that in the real world, where rent is through the roof, groceries somehow get more expensive every single month, and literally one unexpected expense can completely wipe out your entire paycheck. For most of us on an average income, that doesn't just sound impossible, it honestly sounds like a setup for failure. But the author of our source material today, they decided to take on this exact challenge. No trust funds, no secret rich family members, no hidden business empires. Just an average person setting a massive goal to see what would actually happen. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and see how this seemingly impossible challenge became a real blueprint for financial freedom.
To fully appreciate this journey, we've got to look at the starting line. And that starting line is exactly $0. The author didn't have a magical cushion of a few grand sitting around. They had absolutely zero savings. Their income was incredibly average, and their expenses were, well, the normal everyday things we all deal with. Rent, food, bills, getting to work. I absolutely love starting here because it makes this an incredibly relatable story. This isn't some out-of-reach billionaire's advice. This is a true ground zero starting point.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with the 90-day challenge itself, then move through Step 1, stopping financial leaks, Step 2, growing your income, and Step 3, making that money work. Then we'll uncover the secret to sustainability before wrapping up with the surprising final result. Using the author's story as a proof of concept, we're going to build a really practical financial system.
Section 1. The 90-Day Savings Challenge. Setting the goal.
Setting a goal is the easy part, right? But confronting the actual math, well, that's where the panic sets in. To save $10,000 in 90 days means you have to put away over $3,000 every single month. When you're starting from absolutely zero, that number doesn't just feel exciting, it feels deeply, deeply stressful. But the timeline of this challenge maps out the chronological journey we're about to break down. We're going to move from the initial struggle on day 1, straight through to the messy middle and eventual rhythm of day 45, all the way to the final result on day 90. It's literally a journey from total panic to a perfectly tuned system.
Section 2. Step 1. Stop financial leaks. Awareness of spending. So the crucial point is that before you can even think about building wealth, you have to realize that awareness of your spending is the very first hurdle you got to clear. The very first thing the author did was track every single dollar they spent, and let me tell you, the results were a massive reality check. When you look at the breakdown, massive 40% chunks were getting completely eaten up by food delivery and random online purchases, alongside those hidden subscriptions we all totally forget to cancel. You see, the money wasn't going to luxury watches or extravagant vacations, it was quietly leaking out through minor everyday habits. In the moment, a $10 purchase feels like nothing, right? But when the author actually added it all up, hundreds of dollars were disappearing every single week. You don't have to be rich to save money, but you absolutely have to be aware of where it's bleeding out. To play fierce financial defense, the author implemented 3 incredibly strict rules to plug up those leaks. Rule number 1, no eating out. Now, this was tough because, let's face it, eating out is all about comfort and convenience, but they swapped it out for simple home-cooked meals. Rule 2, cancel all unnecessary subscriptions. If an app or a streaming service wasn't directly improving their life, it was instantly gone, cut. And Rule 3, set and strictly obey a weekly budget. Once that limit was hit, the spending just stopped. Zero excuses.
And get this. Within just the first 2 weeks of following those 3 rules, the authors saved their first $500. I really want to celebrate this micro story for a second because they didn't earn a single penny more to get this $500. They simply stopped the leaks. It proved right out of the gate that saving money isn't about being perfect. It's about being deeply intentional with what you already have in your pocket.
Section 3. Step 2. Grow your income. Playing offense. Now pay attention because this is the core turning point of this whole step-by-step financial guide, because eventually you can only cut so much. To reach a really aggressive goal, you have to shift from playing defense to playing offense. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. On one side, we have cutting expenses. Frugality is fantastic, sure, but it has a strict floor. You still have to pay rent, you still have to buy groceries just to survive, right? You can only cut down to 0. But on the other side, increasing your income. That is playing offense, and it has absolutely no ceiling. Instead of constantly asking, how can I save more? The mindset completely shifted to, how can I make more? The best part? The author didn't take out massive loans to start some complicated business. They took actionable, low-barrier steps. First, they audited what they already had: their skills, their free time, their internet connection. Next, they took on simple freelance work and little online tasks. Finally, they just started selling things they no longer needed: old electronics, clothes, literally anything gathering dust around the house. At first, it was, $20 here, $50 there, but combining multiple small income streams creates incredible momentum. For the first time, the author wasn't just saving money, they were actually creating it. Let's move to the next step and see how this builds from creating money to actually optimizing it.
Section 4. Step 3. Make money work. Optimize income. So once the money actually starts coming in from those new income streams, the absolute worst thing you can do is just let it sit there doing nothing. A major mistake the author had made in the past was leaving their saved money completely idle in a standard checking account. So they moved everything into a high-yield account. Now, let's be real. Over just 90 days, the interest from a high-yield account isn't going to magically make you a millionaire. But that isn't the point. The purpose is a massive psychological shift. Moving those funds changed the author's mindset from seeing money as just something meant to be spent or even just hoarded away into seeing it as an active tool meant to grow and work for them.
Section 5. The secret to sustainability. Avoiding burnout.
Okay, we've talked about aggressive saving and aggressively increasing your income, but doing both of those things simultaneously, that requires a massive amount of human energy, and the author was incredibly honest about the mistakes they made here. At one point, they pushed way, way too hard. They stopped resting, they stopped enjoying life, and everything just became this exhausting obsession with money. They honestly almost quit. And that brings us to this vital quote: if your plan isn't sustainable, it won't last. I love this vulnerability because it proves this is a realistic guide for normal people, not just some toxic hustle culture telling you to literally never sleep again. To survive what we call the messy middle, that really tough phase where most people just throw in the towel and give up, the author had to adjust. They allowed for small breaks. They allowed for a little bit of balance. And because they gave themselves that grace, by day 45, a true rhythm was found. Savings stopped feeling forced and actually started feeling automatic. By making sure they didn't burn out, they actually sped up their progress in the back half of the challenge.
Section 6. The surprising final result. Day 90 arrives.
Here we go. It's the culmination of all the discipline, the side hustles, and the newfound systems. Based on everything we've just covered together, the absolute zero starting point, the average income, the intense burnout, and the recovery, do you think the author successfully reached that exact $10,000 target by day 90?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the honest answer is no. They did not hit the $10,000. But the twist here is failing to hit that specific number didn't end up mattering at all. By aiming for an impossibly high number, they ended up saving more money in those 90 days than they ever had in their entire life. But honestly, even better than the cash, they built a permanent, life-changing financial system and unlocked a level of personal discipline they never even knew they had.
So, what does this all mean? What are the core takeaways from this 90-day experiment? First, saving money is about consistency over luck. It's not about magically landing a massive salary. It's about what you do with what you already have. Second, it requires acute awareness of those hidden financial leaks that just quietly drain you week by week. And finally, it's about committing to small, intentional daily decisions. You see, most people fail not because they can't save, but because they simply don't stay consistent long enough to see the incredible compound results of their efforts. You don't need $10,000 to begin, and you certainly don't need a perfect plan. You really just need to start. Start by saving $10, then maybe $20. Track your spending for just 1 week and see what you find. Your financial future doesn't change overnight, but it absolutely changes the exact moment you decide to take control. So, looking at your own life right now, what is your step 1 today?